Hey guys, here's the gear. August is getting close to being done, and so I'll be using other gear later. I have to figure out what that is. Just maybe I'll start with whatever I can find in all my moving boxes, right? We continue with the Semogue Owners Club brush with a Taj handle. The Timeless Open Comb stainless steel razor in the 68 gap. Chiseled Face Midnight Stag in the soap, splash, and cologne. And this is either the 602nd or 603rd use. I can't remember if I dotted the Sharpie there when I did it last time or not. Nacet blade. And I did do some looking into my videos, and I found out there were 11 videos done with the blade in the wrong orientation. And when I say wrong, I mean just for me, because my little science experiment was, let's not flip this blade over and see how long it'll go. And so I'm looking at 600 uses approximately, with almost all of them being on one side of the blade, because I always show you the orientation here of the blade. You can see it's oriented now. We've got the N right here and the 1 down here. The Sharpie dots over on this side. And the problem was I took the blade out during a certain shave and showed it to you guys individually. It was the episode where I did the brush attached to a drill. And for some reason, maybe I'd done some traveling that day, I don't know, but I had the blades separate. Maybe I was cleaning it, I don't remember. But then I showed it to you in the beginning of the video like this, and it was oriented correctly. Then when I put the blade, I took the blade out for some reason, then showed it to you, and then was talking about the blade, and then I reassembled it, and I never showed it to the camera. But what I assumed was when I reassembled it, then I was thinking more about the excitement of using the brush on the drill and not on making sure the blade was aligned correctly. And then for the next 11 shaves, or 10 shaves after that one, I used it on the wrong side. Now, a few days ago, my friend Greg chimed in and said, you know, he doesn't think it makes a difference, especially at this point, with the blade being probably rounded over at the microscopic level. It's still very sharp right now. I could cut myself on it really easily if I rub my finger on it the wrong way. But microscopically and relating to hair follicles, it's rounded off some. And with that in mind, it's probably not going to change the, it's not going to re-steer the angle of the wear or anything like that to have just 11 of them be wrong over the course of 600 shaves. Exact details on that I have written down for you guys. I went back and looked, and it was on shave Austere August day 11 and shave 586 of the Nacet, where I did the drill with the brush thing. And I started off having it oriented correctly, like I mentioned, but then it got switched around somehow, it seems. And I'm guessing that shave was done with it oriented the wrong way. And now what I want to do is go back to that shave and re-watch it and see if I'm surprised at how it feels. That would be interesting. So then by day 12, I was probably back in my normal rhythm of leaving the blade in the razor. And so it stayed that way probably for the next 10 shaves. And so then on day 22 of Austere August, use number 597 of the Nacet, that's when I realized that there's an error. And so does that actually, was I off by one? So 11 was wrong. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, And then on 22, I realized the error. So yeah, 11. 11 days, 11 shaves with it oriented the other way. So now we're back. So on shave 597 of the Nacet, I realized beforehand, before the shave, that it was a mistake. And I reversed it and wondered how long it had gone. So, all right. Mystery solved, at least in what details we can. So here is the Midnight Stag soap. I'm going to do another Slurry Lather. This time, I'm going to keep on going with that 8-second load. Although, in the past 2 days, I have had to go back for a few more swirls. I'm going to try one more change, just for fun. That's what we do here in August, because we're using the same equipment. With all those variables being equal, it means you can experiment and not wonder which change is what messed things up. So, we will talk about that more after I get my face wet. And there we go. I am going to change it. Instead of a couple of shakes, let's try the 8-second load with pretty much all the water still in the brush. Okay? A very saturated... Now, I've talked about that sometimes. Occasionally, an overly saturated brush that's holding all this water. I can feel how heavy it is. And you can too when you've got a boar brush. All that water can sometimes, I noticed this with Chiseled, the kind of old soap, it actually, too much water inhibited the absorption of the soap, and it required much longer load times. But just let's see how it works for this guy. So you see, I'm not doing any shakes, but I am letting gravity pull out any drips that it may want to. Letting that kind of be my hard line here. So let's just see what happens, right? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not really pressing very much into the soap. I mean, just a little bit. I definitely felt the drag of the tips moving through the soap. All right. Here we go. We'll see if this just washes out. We'll see if it needs a few more strokes. I think I got sprinkled in the eye with a little bit of soap there. Ah, that's pretty good. Is this going to be, so this is better than before when I had shaken out some water. But we'll see, is this going to be enough soap to last for enough passes? Yeah, see? I can just go ahead and use that. This is more right along the line with the slurry method, where we don't mind using a very kind of translucent, transparent lather, because in this case, it is still really slick. It doesn't need to come to maturity. Yeah, see, I can feel that. I'm very protected here with the soap on there. With a little bit of water. I did not feel a lot of soap, but that's okay. We'll see how things go. And now let's try again for pass number 2. Do we have any soap left? With this method, it's just easy to go back, since there's so much water still kind of in the brush. It's easy to go back through and get more soap. Yeah, see, that is plenty. It's definitely not you know, tons of lather. And you can see the brush still has a lot of water left in it that has not been converted into lather. Friend Jason reminded me in a comment, maybe about a day ago, he was also very interested in finding out how many days. And that reminded me to just sit down with YouTube and go through. All right, a little splash of water. Yes, boy, that 8 seconds, that is a skimpy load. Ha ha. That is not a, that is when you are trying to conserve soap. Maybe it's a soap that's on its last leg. Maybe it's the last one you have and it's been discontinued. Ha ha. That sort of thing. But that's not where I am. So, I could if I wanted to. Because you can hopefully see, I mean, there's still lather on the brush, and I could use that if I wanted. But I did 3 more swirls there. And so, if I did more than 3, I would have a lot more soap. And it would be needing to combine with more water. Now you can see how water's dripping out of my brush. That's because I'm in an upside down mode here. And so there's water here at the root, but the soap is at the tips. Nice. That just feels good. Yeah, that's kind of that luxurious, creamy feel. So that just 3 more swirls. It makes a world of difference, right? That's so funny. Oh, hey, I want to show you guys something. I also smoke pipe and smoke cigars. And one of the vintage pipe lighters is called the Nimrod. Nimrod is the company. This is the Nimrod Sportsman pipe lighter. And it looks like this. And it's really neat. That's why I wanted to show it to you. The thing about pipes is, as you're holding them, if you have a normal lighter, you kind of have to tilt it over. And so in terms of butane lighters, they have created some that shoot the flame out the side, you know, and with the Zippo lighters that have the wick, they created a side one where you hold the Zippo sideways over the pipe and it's got a hole through it, you know, because you're not holding it vertically most of the time when you're lighting a pipe. And so in a similar way, you see this roundness there, and so there's the wick right in between. And so then the idea is you carry this around in your pocket, and it's a one-handed operation, and you flick it open, and then let's see if I can get it to work. Oh, there we go. Yep, and you just push forward, and now you can take that hole, rest that over your pipe, and inhale, breathe in to light your pipe tobacco. So that's called the Nimrod Sportsman. There was one that had a leather wrap here instead of the ridged metal. I don't know quite what it's made of. Probably some kind of alloy. I don't think it's all stainless. But pretty neat. All right. At least with the blade identification issue and how it was flipped, at least I still had the warp on the blade there, the blade edge that should be able to be seen on those, because otherwise people say, oh, you shaved with a brand new Nacet. I mean, who cares? If somebody's going to doubt me at this point, then that's just on them. But even when the blade is backwards, it's got that curve in that corner of the blade, the bend, and so I think hopefully that will make everybody satisfied at least. And I guess that made me think, when I do finally flip it over, I guess I'll have to etch the other side, just to have something to show you guys there. All right, well, that's the third pass there, and so 8. We finally landed on a good solution there with the 8 swirls, and it was coming in with just about as much water as the brush would hold, and then that was enough to build a very thin lather. The second one was a little thinner, but it's still very doable. But it was on the skimpy side. I could have done a third one, and it would have been kind of skimpy. Now, also, you know what's curious here? Let's do this. You want to see what's really left in the brush after your shave? Gravity is now going to help that water that's in the root of the brush to go down there and mix with the soap that's down there too. And sure enough, look there. So see, there was soap available. And I could also add just a few drops of water and probably help that to gain even more volume. So 8 seconds in terms of this brush and all that is definitely enough. And that brings to mind something. Do you remember last year, the year before, I was using the Zenith boar brush. We called it the boar. It was I think B13 was the designation, that big 31 millimeter brush from Zenith. And it is kind of the opposite of this guy. This is a big knot, but it's got some intentional splay built into the knot where the outer rim is intentionally angled off to the side, so you get a rounded bloom, where the Zenith knot is not that way. It's all coming out of the handle straight, and any flex and any bloom is just what naturally happens with the boar bristles as they mature and as they age. And so it had a lot more backbone. But it was still comfortable to use because the boar tips and Zenith's boar tips are really soft. But it was just more backbone, more stiff. It was less of a splay than this guy does. And so I was even getting to the point where at the latter part of August, half a turn, half of a swirl was enough to pull enough of the soap off into the brush for a whole 3 or 4 or 5 passes. So that's pretty wild, huh? And that's just because of the difference in the knots. So there we go. All right. I was curious if it would head that way, but apparently this one has enough splay and flexibility to where it's not digging into the soap quite as much. And so I don't think I'm ever going to get much below that 8 swirl, kind of thing. I think 8 in this case of this brush is just always going to be the midpoint, the low point in terms of transitioning. Anything there or below is going to be kind of a budget lather. Nice, but not luxurious, because we're not quite enough soap to be luxurious. We'll go ahead and put our splash on. In past years, nice folks like Stephen Joyner, because of his love for Midnight Stag, would give awards, some type of prize to the completers of the Midnight Stag month of uses. In the game was you had to use the soap, splash, and cologne to win. And one year he didn't make any announcements, but those of us who just like it did it anyway. And then later on he was really pumped by that, I guess, and he decided to put forth an award anyway. But things changed, and he bowed out of it this time, and maybe last time. So I think there's only 4 of us doing it this month. On at least that are logging it on the wet shaving subreddit. Love that smell. Just do. Gonna vent the razor here. Give it a good rinse and a shake. Clean up my gear. There we go, folks. I think that'll be enough for today. We talked about the hiatus of the side of the razor, and we discovered that 8 swirl seems to be about where this guy likes to stick. Probably a couple more than 8, and you are rewarded a lot with a lot more soap to feel great during the shave and have a luxury feel. And I think that'll do it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.